The day after my CEO girlfriend began her honeymoon period with her first love, I completed the handover for all my work. Then I went to HR to process my resignation. In less than 10 minutes, I received notice that my girlfriend, Ruyan, had approved it. Secretary Gu, President Liu has approved your resignation paperwork. But she did not notice that you were the one resigning. Should I remind her? Hearing the news over the phone, I slowly lowered my eyes. No need. Let it be. But you have been President Liu's secretary for 4 years. She has always been most satisfied with you, and she relies on you more than anyone. About resigning, are you sure you do not want to reconsider? HR earnestly urged me to think it over, but I only smiled. No one in this world is truly indispensable. My parents are in poor health. I am also busy going home for blind dates and marriage. Since President Liu has approved it, I will hand over my work according to procedure. I will leave in 1 month. Thank you for your help. After the call ended, I continued sorting through my belongings. I had lived in this villa for 3 years. There were not many things, but there were not few either. Apart from the essentials, I threw everything else away. Watching the room slowly empty out, I drifted into a daze. Countless memories surged back. 8 years ago, after a small-town young man from an ordinary family like me got into H University, I became close friends with Liu Yuanfeng, the young master of an elite Jing by family. Though we came from completely different social worlds, we hit it off unusually well. Classes, meals, basketball. We spent every day together. Gradually, he brought me into his circle. I met his family, and I fell for his older sister, Ruyan. But I buried those feelings deep inside and never told anyone. After graduation, Liu Yuanfeng went abroad to study. I stayed in Jing City and sent out my resume. Then became Liu Ryan's secretary, just so I could see her often. Then came an accident. Someone drugged Liu Ryan. I was about to contact the hospital, but she, unable to control herself, clung tightly to me. Overwhelming kisses came pouring down. After one tangled night of passion, I woke to find her sitting by the window. Her beautiful face was hidden in the hazy light, silent and lonely. Hearing me stir, she turned back. She asked only one question. You like me? I instinctively wanted to deny it, but she continued with a flat expression. Every time you see me, you blush. You remember every preference and taboo I have. Right after graduation, you came to be my secretary. Do not tell me. All of that is coincidence. Word by word, she made even a grown man like me blush scarlet. I did not know if it was shame or guilt. In the dead silence, she suddenly handed me a bank card. Last night was an accident. There is someone I love. I will not return your feelings, and I will not make you take responsibility. I heard from Yuanfeng that your family is ordinary. The money on this card is enough for you to live comfortably without financial worries. Forget all of this. I was stunned. Only then did I remember that last night in bed, she had kept calling one name. Zefeng. According to Liu Yuanfeng, Zefeng was the first love Liu Ryan could never forget. She loved him so much that even after he broke up with her and went abroad, even with endless rumored girlfriends overseas, she still insisted on waiting for him to return. I remember Liu Yuanfeng once complained and said something like this. We Liu family members are famously cold-hearted and emotionally detached. So how did my sister turn into such a hopeless romantic? She has waited all these years and still says that except for him, everyone else would be settling, and she refuses to settle. I understood that feeling all too well. Remembering it then, I suddenly found the courage to stop Liu Ryan as she was about to leave. I do not want the money. I only want you to give me a chance. President Liu, please try being with me. If he never comes back, or if he does come back, and you still have not let him go, then on that day, I will leave on my own, meeting my love-filled gaze. Liu Ryan froze for a few seconds. Then she left me with one line, do as you wish. From then on, I was her secretary by day, and her private bed partner by night. In the office, in the Maybach, and before the villa's floor-to-ceiling windows, we left countless reckless traces. 4 years passed. No one knew this relationship existed between us, and I accepted it gladly. Until a few days ago, on her birthday, I prepared so many surprises, wanting to celebrate with her. But after waiting until midnight, I never saw her appear. Instead, I saw a social media post. The best birthday gift. What I lost has finally returned to me. Liu Ryan, who had never posted on Moments before, had posted a photo of herself and Zefeng kissing beneath a sky full of fireworks. Seeing that photo, all the color drained from my face. My chest seized. Clinging to my last shred of hope, I called her, but Zefeng answered. After saying hello several times and getting no reply, he finally called out to Ruyan. Ryan, who is this Yanting? He called you, but he is not saying anything. A moment later, her clear, faint voice reached my ears through the speaker. Someone unimportant. Ignore him. Let us sleep a little longer. In that moment, I knew it was time for me to make my exit. I packed my things, intending to leave, but ran into Ruyan at the door. Since we used to sleep together every day, for convenience, I had been staying at her villa, but now, I could not stay anymore. Seeing me holding my belongings, her gaze tightened slightly, but she did not ask me to stay. Have you found a place? Yes, the same rental apartment as before. I have spoken to the landlord. I will rent it for 1 month. Hearing that, Ruyan frowned slightly. 1 month? Why? I was about to explain, but she did not seem very interested. In a low voice, she said, I will drive you. I wanted to refuse, but Ruyan insisted. The snow is too heavy. It is late, too. If something happens to you, Zefeng will be upset. So, I could only get in the car. Once, we had done all kinds of shameless things in this car countless times before. But now, I could hardly recognize it. The car was filled with model sports cars. There was a soft, fluffy blanket on the back seat, and flashy interior light strips. It was hard for me to imagine that someone as decisive and efficient as her, someone so cool and untouchable, would decorate her car like this. She must have noticed where I was looking, because Ruyan explained, Zefeng likes these things. I understood what she meant. After a long silence, I finally answered her in a low voice. You finally got him back. President Liu, I am very happy for you. Ruyan had not expected me to say that. Her eyes darkened slightly, and she said nothing more. Halfway there, Zefeng called. He said he wanted to play in the snow with her. She pulled over to the side of the road, ready to rush over immediately. But when she looked at the person beside her, she hesitated. I knew what she was worried about, so I opened the car door myself. President Liu, I will take a cab back. Ruyan gave a quiet hum in response, and got out to help me with my things. My hand slipped, and the box fell to the ground. She bent down and saw what had scattered across the ground under the street light. Her body stiffened for a moment. Love letters with her name on them that I had never sent. Photos of her I had secretly taken at some point, and things she had casually thrown away that I had picked up and kept. My heart lurched violently. I scrambled to gather everything up. I am sorry. Ruyan said nothing. She got back into the car alone and sped away. I waited alone in the snow for a long time, but I still could not get a cab. I tried to carry the box and walk home, but an electric scooter knocked me down. It tore a wound more than 20 centimeters long across my calf. Blood spilled all over the ground. I watched the hit-and-run scooter speed away, gasping from the pain. I lay in the snow for a long time, unable to recover. Only after the worst of the pain passed did I limp through the snow on foot for hours, before finally making it back to the rental apartment. After tending to my wound, I turned on my phone and found that Ruyan had sent me a message after she left. Do not love someone so completely like this again. There are plenty of women in this world. Do not waste your whole life on me. I stared at that message for a very long time. After daybreak, I lit a fire downstairs. I burned that whole box of things, and the love that had burned hot and endlessly inside me for 8 years turned to ashes with it. Ruyan, I will give you what you want. After resting for 2 days over the weekend, on Monday, I went to the company on time. I handled my work just as usual, and went to inform Ruyan that a meeting was about to start. When I reached the office, through the half-open door, I saw Zefeng. He had Ruyan in his arms, and was feeding her a cookie he had already bitten in half. The woman who was always such a clean freak ate it with a smile. Then she affectionately kissed his fingers. Her voice was gentle. Yesterday you said you were craving desserts from this shop, so this morning I stood in line for 3 hours to buy them for you. How do they taste? They taste great. Just like before, sweet but not too rich. You used to go a long way to buy them for me every few days. Now you are the president of a major group, after all. Why are you still going yourself? You could have just had a secretary do it. Ruyan gently stroked his cheek. The tenderness in her eyes was almost overflowing. If it has anything to do with you, I only want to do it myself. I do not want to leave it to someone else. A hint of sweetness appeared on Zefeng's face. He wrapped his arms around her on his own and kissed her. She hugged him back too, deepening the kiss. The two of them were lost in it, unable to pull away. Watching that scene, my breathing caught. A wave of bitterness spread through my chest. I clenched my fingers hard, until my knuckles turned white. My palm was already torn and bloody. Second by second, time passed. The meeting was about to start. I forced my emotions back under control and raised my hand to knock on the door. President Liu, the meeting is about to begin. At the sound of my voice, Liu Ruyan paused slightly. She was about to get up, but Zefeng pulled her back. I do not want you to go. Stay with me a little longer. Liu Ruyan's heart practically melted. Delay the meeting by 2 hours. The project being discussed in this meeting involved cooperation between several major groups in Jing City. It was crucial to the company's future development. I knew how important it was, so I could not help reminding her. The CEOs from Ling Group and Shen Group have all been waiting in the conference room already. Oh, come on. Ruyan, your secretary is so annoying. He really cannot read the room. Hearing Zefeng complain, Liu Ruyan's expression turned cold too. I said, delay it by 2 hours. No work is more important than Zefeng. My chest felt tight, and I could barely breathe. But in the end, I only closed the door and turned away in silence. Everyone in their circle knew that Liu Ruyan was a workaholic. No matter how busy her personal life was, even if she had just come out of surgery, she would still push through sickness to finish her work, but risking offending business partners for the sake of a man and delaying a meeting this important had never happened before. Did she really like Zefeng that much? I lowered my dim eyes, forcing my emotions back into place, then walked into the conference room and formally apologized to everyone there. The Liu family was powerful and wealthy. These CEOs, though unhappy, did not dare criticize Liu Ruyan, so they vented all their anger on me instead. I did not dare argue back. I could only lower my head and endure the scolding. I held out like that for the full hours. Before Liu Ruyan finally showed up, I dragged my sore, numb legs out of the conference room, only to be stopped by Zefeng again. So, you are Yanting. I heard from Ruyan that you make excellent coffee. Everyone in the office looks a little tired. Go make everyone a cup. Mine gets ice, no sugar. I knew he was relying on Liu Ruyan's favor to boss people around so arrogantly, but I did not dare disobey. I could only go to the break room. It took me 2 hours to make more than 400 cups of coffee. I carried them out one by one. But the moment Zefeng took his first sip, his expression changed. He grabbed the cup and hurled it at me. The hard mug split open my forehead with a bloody gash. It looked gruesome. A muffled groan escaped me. My whole face twisted in pain as I clutched the wound and collapsed to the floor. Zefeng was still not satisfied. He kept picking up cup after cup of coffee and smashing them at me. My whole body was battered black and blue. Shattered ceramic shards sliced bloody cuts across me. Brown coffee drenched me from head to toe. Mixed with bright red blood, it dripped onto the floor. But all I could do was curl up, protecting my head and chest. The office was dead silent. No one dared step forward to stop him. They all stayed far away and watched Zefeng throw his tantrum. Very soon, the commotion drew Liu Ruyan out. She looked at the mess all over the floor, and at me lying there, covered in injuries. Her brows were upon tightly. What happened? The moment he saw her, Zefeng immediately put on an innocent look. Ruyan, I asked your secretary to make me a cup of coffee. My stomach was hurting, and he still put ice in it. My stomach is about to spasm. Seeing his reddened eyes, Liu Ruyan's face instantly darkened. You have been with me for 4 years, and you cannot even handle something this simple. Or do you have a problem with Zefeng, and are targeting him on purpose? I lifted my pale face, wanting to explain, but she did not give me the chance to speak. She called in her assistant directly. Yanting violated company policy. Dock this month's salary and his quarterly bonus. Issue a company-wide notice, and have him make a public self-criticism at next week's staff meeting. With that said, Liu Ruyan helped Zefeng away. Watching her figure recede, I forced myself to stand, endure the pain, and fetched a broom and a mop. I cleaned up the shattered cups and coffee all over the floor. A few kind co-workers came over to help. Their eyes were full of pity when they looked at me. I clearly heard the young master say, ice, no sugar. How can he turn around and blame the victim like that? Yanting, did you offend him somehow? You do not even need to offend him. I have heard from plenty of people that he is always this overbearing and unreasonable. The slightest thing upsets him, and he gives everyone attitude. A lot of people in that circle cannot stand him. But with President Liu spoiling him, no one dares provoke him. Sigh. I have never seen President Liu like someone this much. Yanting, be more careful from now on. We are just ordinary people. We cannot compare to wealthy young masters like them. And he has President Liu as his backer. Even if you really are wronged, you can only end up as the punching bag. I knew they meant well, but hearing those words, I was overwhelmed by mixed emotions. I could not say a single word. Before this, there was once a problem with a contract I handled. It was the client company's fault, but they pinned the blame on me. Faced with their accusations and pressure, Ruyan always believed it was not my fault. She argued firmly on the facts, and only then was my name cleared. But now, Zefeng tossed out a casual lie, and she did not even bother to verify it. She did not give me a chance to explain either. She simply pushed all the blame onto me. I had worked diligently and conscientiously, handling so many troubles for her, and in the end, I did not even have this much trust. Or was it that, in her heart, right and wrong simply did not matter, as long as Zefeng was happy? At that thought, bitterness swelled unbearably inside me, sharp and painful. It took me a long time to clean everything up. Then I dragged my exhausted body home. I had just finished washing up when Ruyan called again. Bring over some stomach medicine and heat patches. I prepared everything as fast as I could and delivered it to her villa. After not coming here for 2 or 3 days, the villa I remembered as simple and elegant had changed beyond recognition. The peach tree old Master Liu had planted with his own hands years ago had been removed, replaced by a garden full of tulips. The black and white furniture inside had also been replaced with pink and yellow tones, the colors Ruyan hated most. The display cases were filled with countless pieces of jewelry, car keys, and gifts. At a glance, it was obviously Zefeng's taste. I took it all in silently, then walked to the lit bedroom and knocked on the door. A moment later, Ruyan opened the door and took the things from me. Only then did she finally look up at me. After the coffee had been washed off, the injuries on my face looked even more shocking. She froze for a moment. You are hurt this badly? Have you gone to the hospital yet? I said nothing and shook my head. She pressed her fingers to her brow. Her tone softened, rare for her. Zefeng was just not feeling well. He did not mean to take it out on you. Do not take it to heart. The pay I docked will be added back into your year-end bonus. Go to the hospital in a bit. If it is serious, take a few days off and rest. I have already approved the leave. No need to go through the process. No need. After this month ends, I will. I wanted to tell her I was about to resign, but she did not let me finish. She simply held out a bank card, cutting me off. Be good. I still need you to help me arrange a welcome home banquet for Zefeng. Get some proper rest and recover. The words I had not finished saying stuck in my throat just like that. I gave a quiet sound of acknowledgement, took the card, and left the villa. The moment the door closed, I heard Zefeng's voice. Ruyan, has the stomach medicine not come yet? I want you to warm me up. I am coming right now. Lie down properly, and do not move around. Hearing that gentle, almost liquid softness in her voice, I smiled soundlessly. A trace of self-mockery flickered in my eyes. I had suffered terrible stomach pain too. Several times I passed out from it at the office. My co-workers had to take me to the hospital. When she found out, all she did was approve my leave. She never came to see me, let alone prepare any stomach medicine or heat patches. Back then, I thought she was just too busy, that she could not get away. But now it seemed it was simply because she did not love me. So, she did not care. After leaving the villa, I went to the hospital, had my wounds bandaged up a little, and then rested at home for a few days. Soon after, I received the banquet plan from her assistant. From the flower selections to the dessert menu, down to the servers' uniforms, every detail came with exacting demands. I only had 3 days, so I could only force myself to pull it together and prepare everything. After days of non-stop work, the banquet I had organized began right on time at 7 that evening. Zefeng appeared in a custom couture suit, making his entrance under everyone's gaze. The guests crowded around him with flattery, and he beamed with delight. It has been so many years, yet young Master Li is still as grand as ever, positively radiant. Even his welcome home banquet is this lavish. It seems President Li's love for you truly has never changed. I remember back when you were in school, someone confessed to Zefeng, and after President Li found out, she forced that person to transfer schools. Every love letter sent to him, she tore up the moment she saw it. If anyone talked about Zefeng behind his back, she would go teach those punks a lesson and beat them until they had broken bones. Who in our circle did not know That Zefeng was President Liu's first love, the treasure she holds closest to her heart. Just look at the jewelry Zefeng is wearing. It must be worth tens of millions. And that outfit was custom-made too. The only one of its kind in the world. To make Zefeng happy. President Liu has never cared about the cost. I stood not far away, then listened in silence. Without saying a word, Li Zefeng strutted over proudly, looking at me with naked disdain. You did a decent job with the banquet, but there is one small problem. There is no carpet in the hall. My shoes are dirty. To make up for that mistake, you can clean them for me. I lowered my head, my tone neither servile nor defiant. Please wait a moment. There is still carpet in the back. I will have someone lay it down right away. When he saw that I still dared to refuse, Li Zefeng's face darkened at once. Just then, Ruyan walked in. The moment she saw he was upset, she immediately came over. What is wrong? Ruyan, I do not want to dirty my hands with my shoes. I asked your secretary to wipe them for me, and he refused. Is he still holding a grudge over what happened last time? Hearing Li Zefeng's complaint, Ruyan looked at me with a darkened gaze. It is only wiping a pair of shoes. That is part of your job anyway. It is not your first day as a secretary. You cannot even handle something this small. The guests around us started whispering too, their voices full of sarcastic digs. A secretary dares to give young masterly attitude? He really does not know his place. Some people are simply born to different fates. A young master like him was born to be served. Letting someone like you wipe his shoes at a banquet is already doing you a favor. Do not be ungrateful. Hearing that barbed mockery, my eyes dimmed. I forced down the humiliation rising in me, and bent down to wipe Li Zefeng's shoes clean with my sleeve. Li Zefeng then dragged Ruyan upstairs and downstairs, wandering around leisurely, deliberately tormenting me. His custom-made shoes were made of delicate material. After only a few steps, they picked up dust again. My back ached and went numb from bending over, but all I could do was endure it. Li Zefeng still refused to let it go. He had people bring over a great deal of wine, then crooked a finger at me. I do not feel like drinking tonight, but my friends were kind enough to attend the banquet, so it would be rude to refuse them. You can drink all of this on my behalf. I have an alcohol allergy. Ruyan, look at him. I had just started to explain, when Li Zefeng began complaining to her. Ruyan knew I had an alcohol allergy too, but to keep Li Zefeng happy, she still chose to agree. Don't you always carry allergy medicine with you? Take it first, then drink. You should be fine. That leave no room for refusal tone of hers made my heart sink to the bottom. My face went a shade paler. Silently, I took out the medicine and swallowed a few pills. Very soon, a group of people came over with their glasses, making polite conversation. I lifted my own glass and poured the liquor down my throat, one cup after another. My stomach churned violently, and I could not stop the urge to throw up. My head felt packed with sludge, heavy and foggy. Even my vision blurred. In the middle of that dizzy spinning, I heard Li Zefeng cry out, Ruyan, the cufflink you gave me is gone. Your secretary was the only one who came near me just now. He must have sticky fingers and stolen it. Hearing that baseless accusation, I briefly snapped back to my senses. President Liu. It was not me. Ruyan looked at Li Zefeng's reddened eyes, then at me, completely drunk, and her expression grew more serious. There were so many people around just now. Maybe it was only misplaced. Let us look around first. But Li Zefeng refused to let it go. He violently shook off her hand. If it was not him, then who else could it be? It was a cufflink you gave me. That is why I am this upset. And yet you are still trying to protect him. If you refuse to search him, then do not come looking for me again. With that, he turned to leave in a fury. Ruyan quickly grabbed him. Then she coldly called for the bodyguards. The next second, several bodyguards forced me to the floor. They started tearing at my clothes. My mind exploded with a roar. I struggled with all my strength, but I was no match for their brute force. My shirt was torn into strips, and my shoes were yanked off too. My skin was scratched raw, turning blue and red. Blood stained me in spots. An endless wave of humiliation surged through me, and I could not stop myself from crying for help. I did not do it. It really was not me. But my desperate cries only brought even rougher treatment. Ruyan could not bear to look. She was just about to make them stop, when several service staff came running over. Found it. The cufflink fell on the stairs. In an instant, every eye in the hall landed on the dazzling diamond cufflink in their hands. Ruyan's tightly furrowed brows eased a little. She waved her hand and told the bodyguards to back off. Then, She picked up the cufflink and personally fastened it back onto Li Zefeng. Her tone softened a little. The cufflink has been found. Do not be angry anymore. All right. Only then did Li Zefeng nod in satisfaction. He looked at me on the floor, utterly wretched, and slipped an arm around her shoulders. Good thing it was found. Otherwise, I would have been upset for a long time. But because of this, your secretary suffered such a huge humiliation. Should I apologize to him? For a moment, everyone's eyes fell on me, clothes in disarray. Through endless pain, I heard Liu Ryan's cold voice. No need to apologize. He is only a secretary. Suffering a little humiliation is not a big deal. Just one simple sentence. Yet it stabbed into my chest like a blade, twisting everything inside into a bloody ruin. That heart, already riddled with wounds, felt as if it were being torn apart, and the pain was unbearable. My head was buzzing, and there was nothing left in my eyes but numb emptiness. At some point, everyone in the hall had already left. Only the harsh lights remained, making every injury on my body stand out clearly. I forced myself up through the pain, picked up the coat a kind server had left beside me, and put it on. Then I staggered out of there. Outside, it was pouring rain. Numb to everything, I walked straight into it. The icy rain struck my face and slid down in drops, just like tears. But I could not shed a single tear anymore. I did not know where I was going. I wandered the streets aimlessly. Before long, a car pulled up beside me. The window rolled down, revealing Liu Ryan's cool, striking face. Get in. I acted as if I had not heard her. I dragged my heavy body forward through the rain. Liu Ryan frowned. Her voice grew harsher. Get in the car. I stopped in my tracks and lifted my deathly pale face to look at her. Do not trouble yourself over me, President Liu. I am only a secretary. The frost in my voice made Liu Ryan's heart jolt violently. She pushed open the car door and came to me through the rain. Then she gripped my hand hard. What happened tonight? I did not handle it well enough, but I have already lost Zefeng once. I cannot lose him a second time. As for the humiliation you suffered, I will find a way to make it up to you. Do not hold this against me. This time, I did not give in again. I used all my strength to wrench free from her grip, then staggered back a few steps. My voice was as lifeless as stagnant water. You must be joking, President Liu. An ordinary person like me would never dare be angry with important people like you and young Master Li. I was too naive and too ridiculous before, to the point that I could not even see my own place. From now on, I will remember at all times that I am only a secretary. I will not disturb your life again. Are you satisfied now? Can you let me go now? The more I said things like that, the angrier Liu Ryan became. Her face turned cold, and her emotions were already slipping out of control. You know perfectly well that is not what I mean. I have never looked down on you. I only said those things to calm Zefeng down. In my heart, you and Zefeng are. What she said after that, I did not catch a single word. Everything in front of me blurred more and more. My eyelids felt as heavy as lead. Every last bit of strength drained out of me. My body swayed, and I lost consciousness. I do not know how much time passed. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself in a hospital. My wet clothes had been changed, and the wounds on my body had been treated and bandaged. There was medicine and hot water by the bed. A nurse was adjusting my drip. When she saw that I was awake, she gave me a kind smile. You are awake. Your girlfriend stayed by your side all night yesterday. She just left. I parted my dry lips, my voice painfully hoarse. She is not my girlfriend. She never was. Liu Ryan and I were nothing but an accident from the very beginning. Other than my role as her secretary, she has never acknowledged any other relationship between us. I used to lie to myself and still dream about a future. But now, I just want to snap myself out of it, then leave this place forever and never come back. I stayed in the hospital for a few days. Liu Ryan never came again. She only had her assistant send me a message, telling me to focus on recovering and return to work once I was well. I did not mistreat myself again either. I did not leave the hospital until my overworked body had fully recovered. During that time, the company group chat was constantly buzzing. Everyone was talking about Liu Ryan and Li Zefeng. She booked out Disney for an entire week to celebrate his birthday. Brilliant fireworks blazed for 3 straight days. She took him to a family banquet and placed the jade pendant, passed only to the son-in-law, into his hand. She bought a piece of land and planned to turn it into a private ski resort. Its name was closely tied to Li Zefeng. I quietly read those messages, and not the slightest ripple stirred in my heart. After I was discharged, I clocked in for work as usual. I was meticulous with my work. Only when something required Liu Ruyan's attention would I ask the other colleagues in the secretarial office to handle it instead. After a whole week of rare peace, Liu Ruyan called me again. After I delivered the documents she wanted, I was about to leave, but she stopped me. I have a meeting to attend. Zefeng does not like eating alone. Stay here and keep him company. My face went stiff. I was just about to refuse, but Zefeng had already started bossing me around out of habit. I want shrimp. Peel me a plate first. Liu Ruyan closed the study door. Yanting could only swallow those words back down. He walked over to the dining table. After he finished peeling one plate of shrimp, Zefeng had someone bring over a large plate of walnuts and a jackfruit. I want some fruit after dinner too. There are no tools here, so do it by hand. Looking at the hard shells and sharp spikes, Yanting's heart sank. He knew Zefeng was doing this on purpose to torment him, but he had no choice but to obey. By the time he had shelled the walnuts and opened the jackfruit, both his hands were pierced and bloody. Zefeng still refused to let him off. He forced him to go to the kitchen and carry out soup. The soup had just come off the stove, and it scalded his hands bright red. The pain was so bad he could not hold it steady anymore. His grip slipped, and the scalding soup splashed all over him. Steam billowed upward, and within seconds, several blisters had already risen on his hands. A searing pain shot through him. He bit down hard on his lip to keep any cry of pain from escaping. Seeing Yanting collapse to the floor, Zefeng could barely hide his glee. The next second, when he saw the study door open, he instantly wiped the smile off his face and put on a fake scolding voice. I heard from Ruyan that you were capable. How could you not even carry one bowl of soup without spilling it? You even burned my hand. The moment she heard that, Liu Ruyan tensed at once. She hurried over in long strides. Where were you burned? Let me see. Quickly. Does it hurt? Zefeng lifted the hand he had just pinched red and showed it to her. Only a few drops splashed on it, but who knows if it will scar. How do you even do your job? Zefeng has been spoiled and sheltered since he was little. He has never suffered so much as the slightest injury. I only asked you to carry one bowl of soup, and you burned him instead. Could you not keep your distance? Liu Ruyan's face darkened at once. She could not help snapping at Yanting, but when she saw the injuries on his body, she could not bring herself to say anything harsher. She could only pull Zefeng away to have his injury treated. Before leaving the room, she saw him still standing there in a daze, and called to him in a low voice, "Come to the hospital too, and get yourself treated as well." Yanting could only grit his teeth and get into the car after them. Along the way, Liu Ruyan drove fast. Zefeng did not want her to realize he had been faking it, so every so often he cried out in pain. Each time, her heart ached for him. Every few moments, she would turn to look at him. With her attention so badly divided, she never saw the sports car speeding toward them. With a loud crash, the two cars slammed straight into each other. Under the force of the impact, Yanting's body lurched uncontrollably into the car door. It felt as if his organs had shifted out of place. Agonizing pain shot through every part of his body. Blood poured out in streams, dyeing his whole world red. His body trembled uncontrollably from the cold. He forced his eyes open and saw Liu Ruyan dragging Zefeng out of the car. The sound of an ambulance came from far away. In his fading haze, he heard two urgent voices. "Ma'am, this gentleman only fainted from shock. The injured man in the back seat has severe blood loss. He is in much worse shape. If he is not taken to the hospital immediately, his life could be in danger." "No, Zefeng has to be taken to the hospital first. I will not let anything happen to him. Nothing else matters more than his safety." Liu Ruyan's frantic, panicked shout became the last thing Yanting heard. Before he lost consciousness, endless darkness surged over him and swallowed him whole. Yanting felt as if he had been trapped in a very long nightmare. When he finally woke, he opened his eyes and saw Liu Yuanfeng with bloodshot eyes. "Yanting, I just got back to the country, and I heard right away that you had an accident and were hospitalized. The doctor said you had severe blood loss and almost could not be saved. You scared me to death." The moment he saw him, all the emotions Yanting had buried deep inside came flooding out too. His eyes reddened despite himself. "Do not worry. I am fine." The two of them sat there speechless for who knew how long. Only then did Liu Yuanfeng pour a glass of water and help him finish it. Remembering the doctor's instructions, he switched to lighter topics. "Have you been happy these past few years back in China? Did my sister bully you? Did you not have a girlfriend? When are you going to introduce her to me? I want to check her out properly. If she treats you badly, I will not approve of the two of you being together." The expression on Gu Yanting's face froze. President Liu keeps personal and professional matters separate. She never bullied me. As for my girlfriend, we already broke up. Liu Yuanfeng did not expect it to be over so soon. Afraid he would be upset, he hurried to comfort him. "It is okay. As the saying goes, if it's over, it's over. The next one will treat you better. I know lots of gorgeous women. I will introduce every one of them to you." Before he could finish, the ward door was pushed open. Liu Ruyan walked in with a dark expression. "Introduce who? You are not introducing anyone. Those women you know are way too wild. Not one of them is suitable." Hearing her shut it down in one breath, Liu Yuanfeng immediately pouted. "What do you mean, too wild? Sis, do not talk nonsense, okay? They have only had 2 or 3 boyfriends, that is all. Do you think everyone is as devoted as you are, staying hung up on Zefeng? Besides, I am introducing a girlfriend to my brother here. Sis, why do you have to control even this?" Hearing that, a flare of anger rose in Liu Ruyan's chest. Her voice was edged with anger. I said no introductions, and I meant it. Feelings cannot be forced. Do not go playing matchmaker. Yes, feelings cannot be forced. What a pity. It took him for years to understand that truth." Gu Yanting gave a silent smile. He tugged lightly at Liu Yuanfeng's sleeve and looked at her calmly. Yuanfeng was only joking. "President Liu, what did you come here for?" Seeing that he was safe and sound, Liu Ruyan relaxed a little. Instinctively, she wanted to say she had come to see him. But when the words reached her lips, they came out differently. "Nothing. Yuanfeng heard you had an accident and came straight to the hospital the moment he got off the plane. I came to take him home and check on you while I was here." "All right, sis, I will go home tonight. You should go first. Yanting is hurt this badly, so you are not giving him any more work." After saying that, Liu Yuanfeng pushed her out. Only the 2 friends were left in the room. Liu Yuanfeng started putting in a good word for Liu Ruyan again. "My sister may look fierce, but she is actually very good to you. The nurse said your life was hanging by a thread yesterday. She was the one who sourced blood from across the city and saved you." Hearing that, Gu Yanting froze for a moment, but a moment later, his mind cleared again. She sourced blood from across the city, only because she did not want him to die. But, between him and Zefeng, if one of them had to die, the one who would die would definitely be him. So, he would not keep any fantasies about her anymore. During his last few days in Jing City, Gu Yanting stayed in the hospital recovering. When the nurses came by on rounds, they would occasionally bring up the VIP ward upstairs. Rumor had it that the president of Liu Group had booked the entire floor, and even brought in several retired professors from Jing City to come over, just to care for her boyfriend. I saw it several times. President Liu personally brought her boyfriend tea and water, bought him all kinds of gifts to cheer him up, and stayed by his bedside all night without sleeping. She really loves him. Gu Yanting listened to the gossip in silence. He raised a hand and touched his chest. There was nothing there at all. It was just beating a little slowly. The wound in his heart was almost healed now too. On the day he was discharged, Liu Yuanfeng had planned to pick him up, but family matters held him back. Gu Yanting reassured him with a few words, and left the hospital alone. He went back to the company. It was his last day at work. He handled his resignation according to procedure. Carrying a box in his arms, he was about to leave, when he ran into Zefeng at the elevator. Zefeng was holding a cup of coffee, and deliberately bumped into Gu Yanting. "Watch where you are going. Are you blind? You got my clothes all dirty. Again and again. You are doing this on purpose, are you not?" Zefeng staged the whole thing himself, then called over the bodyguards, and ordered them to force Gu Yanting to kneel at the company entrance and apologize. Gu Yanting refused to give in, but Zefeng went even further. He splashed the remaining half cup of coffee in his face. "What are you looking at? You are not satisfied? Let me tell you something. Liu Ruyan only has me in her heart. No matter what I do, she will indulge me. Punishing a lowly little secretary like you is nothing." After swaggering triumphantly through those words, he turned and walked away, all arrogance. The bodyguards dragged Gu Yanting downstairs and forced him down onto his knees. He kept struggling, but he could not break free no matter how hard he struggled. He could only try to reason with them. "I have already resigned. I am not Liu Ruyan's secretary anymore. What right do you have to force me to kneel?" The bodyguards were not moved in the slightest. Their voices were ice-cold. President Liu gave orders. Young Master Li's wishes are the same as hers. No matter what he asks for, we are to carry it out. Secretary Gu, save those words for President Liu. With just a few words, they cut off everything. Gu Yanning had not finished saying. He knew that no matter how much more he said, they would not listen. So he gave up struggling. The co-workers and passers-by who came and went saw him there. They all whispered about him behind his back, and some even took pictures. In the bitter cold of winter, he knelt outside for a full 7 hours. The skin on his knees had been rubbed raw. His face turned purple from the cold, and he shivered without stopping. He held on through sheer willpower alone. By the time work was nearly over, Gu Yanning was already starting to lose consciousness. Then he suddenly heard someone calling his name. He forced himself to lift his head and saw Liu Yuanfeng sprinting over to him. Yanning, you just got out of the hospital. Why are you kneeling here? Who is doing this to you on purpose? Gu Yanning's throat was dry, and he answered on instinct. It was Li Zefeng. The moment he heard that name, rage surged through Liu Yuanfeng. Supporting him, he rushed straight to Liu Ruyan's office. Li Zefeng, you have gone too far. Yanning did not do anything to offend you. What gives you the right to make him kneel? He is my sister's secretary. He has nothing to do with you. Who do you think you are, putting on airs here? Liu Ruyan was there too. When she saw Gu Yanning in such a wretched state, she frowned. She had just started to ask what had happened, when Li Zefeng wrapped an arm around her waist. Ruyan, I did not. I have no grudge against Secretary Gu. Why would I suddenly punish him like that? I do not even know how I offended him, for him to slander me like this. Hearing Li Zefeng turn around and blame the victim again, Liu Yuanfeng was furious. He charged straight at Li Zefeng and punched him. That is a lie. Yanning never lies. It was the first time in Li Zefeng's life he had ever suffered this kind of treatment. He burst into tears at once. Ruyan, your secretary is slandering me like this, and now even your brother is helping him bully me. Fine, you are all one family. Then let us break up. At those words, panic flashed across Liu Ruyan's face. Then she stood up with a cold expression and slapped Liu Yuanfeng across the face. Enough, Liu Yuanfeng. How long are you going to keep this up? Zefeng is your brother-in-law. Then, she turned her cold gaze on Gu Yanning. Why are you making baseless accusations against Zefeng? If this happens again, you will not need to keep your job as secretary either. Liu Yuanfeng covered his face, staring at his sister in shock. Gu Yanning, however, bitterly regretted dragging him into this. He quickly pulled him away. Liu Yuanfeng was seething inside, and still wanted to go back and argue for him. Gu Yanning had no choice. He could only tell him that he had already resigned, and was planning to leave Jing City. That was when he finally told him. When he heard that Gu Yanning was leaving, Liu Yuanfeng felt both reluctant and heartbroken. He no longer cared about going back to make trouble, and just held on to him, question after question. He kept asking if he could stay. Gu Yanning only patted him on the shoulder. Yuanfeng, all good things must come to an end. Liu Yuanfeng's eyes instantly reddened. On his last day in Jing City, the two of them went out for a meal together. Both of them were full of sighs and unspoken feelings. That night, Liu Yuanfeng did not go home either. He stayed with him, drinking in the cramped little rental apartment. Gu Yanning kept reassuring him that even after going home, he would still keep in touch with him every day. If he found a blind date he liked, he would tell him the very first chance he got. The two of them talked all night. The past, the present, and the future. They talked through everything. At daybreak, Liu Yuanfeng personally took Gu Yanning to the airport. At the moment of their reluctant farewell, a message from Liu Ruyan came through. She was asking where Liu Yuanfeng was. He was still angry about what had happened the night before, and was just about to call and let loose on her. But Gu Yanning quickly stopped him. Forget it. Yuanfeng, let the past stay in the past. Do not clash with Li Zefeng for my sake again. After all, your sister really does love him very much. From now on, he will be your brother-in-law. You should get along with him. Hearing that, Liu Yuanfeng's eyes reddened again. Soon, it was time to board. He waved goodbye to Liu Yuanfeng and turned to walk through the boarding gate. Before boarding the plane, he sent Liu Ruyan one final message. 8 years of secret love. For absurd years. It all ends here. President Liu. From this moment on, I am no longer your secretary, and I do not love you anymore. We will return to our separate lives. In this life, we never need to meet again. After sending it, He did not care what reply might come back. He blocked every way she had to contact him. Then, he boarded the plane without looking back. When that message was sent, Ruyan was drying her hair. She heard her phone make a sound, and was just about to pick it up, when Zefeng grabbed it first. "I will check it for you." He waved the phone in his hand, smiling broadly. Ruyan could never do anything about him, so she smiled and said yes. Her phone had long since been set up to recognize Zefeng's fingerprint. With practiced ease, the man opened Yanting's chat window and saw the message. A trace of disdain flashed through his eyes. With a flick of his finger, he deleted it. On the very first day he came back, he had already learned about what was between Ruyan and Yanting. In his eyes, it was nothing more than Yanting's wishful thinking. Everyone knew Ruyan was a hopeless romantic who loved him to the bone. How could she possibly fall for anyone else? After deleting that message, he also saw a number of work emails from business partners. He deleted those too. Just then, Ruyan finished drying her hair as well. Still carrying the scent of body wash, she came close and wrapped her arms around him. What message was it? Zefeng turned and pulled her into his arms as well. As he did, he casually set the phone aside. "It's just a spam text. Do not worry about that. Let us keep going, all right?" He smiled, his burning body pressed tightly against Ruyan. Desire surged through her. She nodded and said yes. She did not bother with her phone again. Holding Zefeng, she went with him to the bed. After a night tangled in lingering passion, Ruyan was still asleep when her phone suddenly rang. She did not want to deal with it at first, but the ringing would not stop. It annoyed her beyond measure. There should not have been any work today. Looking at the man asleep with his arms around her, Ruyan picked up the phone. She lowered her voice, but her face was full of impatience. "What is it?" "It is the weekend. There should not be any work scheduled." It was another one of her secretaries on the other end, answering in a flustered voice. "One of our partners sent you in a mail yesterday. They were supposed to come in for a meeting today. They are already here now. President Liu. They are all waiting for you." "What? When did this happen?" "I never got any mail at all." Ruyan's drowsiness vanished at once. She sat up and hurried to change her clothes. Her brows drew tightly together. Why did Yanting not tell me about something this important? What on earth is he doing? If the company takes a major loss, can he bear the responsibility? "Tell Yanting to come pick me up immediately." Anger had entered her voice. She thought Yanting was still angry, and that was why he was ignoring work matters. But unexpectedly, the assistant on the other end paused, then spoke with caution. "President Liu, Secretary Gu has already resigned." Those words were like a thunderbolt, striking her straight in the head. Ruyan tightened her grip on the phone. "When did this happen? Did I ever approve his resignation? Tell him to come back at once. Until I agree to it, he is not allowed to resign." At that moment, she no longer spared a thought for the fact that Zefeng was still asleep in the bed. She shouted into the phone. How dare Yanting resign? Over something so trivial? She had already told him clearly that Zefeng was the most important person in her life. For all the grievances Gu had suffered, she would find a way to make it up to him later. And yet he chose to resign without a word. The woman's eyes darkened. She was clearly furious to the extreme. The secretary on the other end was trembling in fear, and did not dare say another word. Just as her patience was about to run out, a strong arm wrapped around her waist. "What is it, Ryan?" It was Zefeng. He looked like he had just been woken up. The moment she saw him like that, Ruyan instinctively softened her voice. "It is just work. You do not need to worry about it. Go back to sleep." She had planned to go to the company, no matter what. She could not afford to offend those partners. But Zefeng clung to her regardless. "Stay here and sleep beside me. It is still early. Ryan, do not leave me, all right?" Those gentle words sent a soft shiver through her. Remembering what had happened last night, she let Zefeng pull her into his arms and lay back down on the bed. By the time she had coaxed him back to sleep, another half hour had already passed. Her phone was full of missed calls from her secretaries. Her eyes darkened. She sent a reply. "Today's meeting. Move it to this afternoon for me. Very quickly." The secretary replied to her. "President Liu, they have already left. The contract has fallen through too." Her heart tightened, but then she looked down at the sleeping man in her arms and felt that all of it had been worth it. The corners of her lips lifted, then fell again. Something about what the secretary had said felt off to her. Ruyan opened her email. There were no new messages. She remembered Zefeng looking at her phone last night. With a trace of hope, she opened the recycle bin. Then her face went pale, and she clenched her teeth. In the recycle bin, there were several emails from their business partners. The timestamps were exactly when, last night, she had not had time to check her phone. And only one person had touched her phone last night. That person was Zefeng. Anger rose in her heart. Zefeng understood nothing, yet he had acted on his own and deleted her work emails. If her company lost this deal, it would lose at least 10% of its profit. And on top of that, for such an important meeting today, Yanting had actually not notified her. In the past, even if the email had only been sent once, Yanting would have everything prepared by morning. If he had not been throwing a tantrum this time, how could they have lost that partner so easily? She called Yanting. She wanted to demand an explanation, but no one answered. No matter how many times she called, she got the same automated voice every time. A sudden panic gripped her heart. Thinking of something, she opened the recycle bin and checked again. There, she found Yanting's message. To her. It had been sent last night. She restored it. The message popped up and stabbed painfully into her eyes. 8 years of secret love. 4 years of madness. It all ends here. President Liu. From this day on, I am no longer your secretary, and I do not love you anymore. We will return to our separate lives. In this lifetime, there is no need for us to meet again. For some reason, when she saw that message, she should have felt relieved. Yanting finally did not love her anymore. Just as she had said, he was no longer wasting his whole life on her. But when she truly faced the news that he had left, her heart was suddenly seized by a suffocating pain that left her unable to breathe. It felt as though she had lost something important. She could not help recalling her past with Yanting. 4 years ago, an accident had brought them to bed together. At the time, her heart had been full of Zefeng. All she had wanted was to dismiss her younger brother's good friend with money. She had never once thought of starting anything with him. But Yanting's eyes had been bright and so cautious, like some small animal, and she had not been able to bring herself to reject him. In the end, she could only silently allow it to happen. They had their reckless moments in all kinds of places. No matter where it was, they left traces of each other behind. Over those 4 years, he had been her best secretary and her best bed partner as well. He had never once asked for anything of his own accord. He had only silently accepted everything she took from him. Even following her without any proper status, he had still been completely content. Countless times, Ruyan had thought to herself that Yanting was truly a foolish man, just a tiny bit of kindness, and he had given everything in return. She had told him not to dream about a future with her. She would only ever belong to Zefeng alone. Now she had finally shaken off that little shadow, just as she had wanted. So why did she not feel as happy as she thought she would? She stared at that message for a long time. At last, she chose not to dwell on it any further. If Yanting had left, then he had left. This was the path each of them was meant to take. She set down her phone and did not look at it again. She wrapped her arms around Zefeng and went back to sleep. To suppress that discomfort in her heart, she pushed off work for several more days to spend time with Zefeng. Whether it was jewelry, accessories, or luxury cars that caught his eye, she bought them all for him. But the more she did that, the more uneasy she felt inside. There was always a trace of irritation she could not shake lingering between her brows. Zefeng did not notice any of it at all. He threw himself wholeheartedly into having fun. While waiting for him, Ruyan could not help taking out her phone. She opened her chat with Yanting. Their last conversation was still frozen a month ago. Ever since Zefeng had returned, she had not contacted him even once. An impulse rose in her heart. Her fingers slowly typed out a message and sent it. You can come back and keep being my secretary anytime. The face-saving way out she thought she was giving him was stopped by a glaring red exclamation mark. Shut out completely. The message never reached him. After all these years, this was the first time Yanting had blocked her. Ruyan's hand trembled slightly. She stared fixedly at the screen until Zefeng came back. Ruyan, sorry to keep you waiting. How about we go see the Northern Lights tomorrow? The man had changed into casual clothes. He slipped an arm around her shoulders and coaxed her gently. She turned off her phone screen. She did not show anything unusual, but she had no heart to enjoy his closeness either. I should go back to the company tomorrow. I have been away too long, and a lot of work has piled up. Let me deal with it first. Then I will spend time with you, all right? As the company's president, She already had many major decisions to make, and important meetings waiting for her. Carving out these past few days had already been difficult enough. To stay with Zefeng. Her company had been taking losses this whole time. The man's brows drew together. He was clearly not very pleased. All right, but I am going with you. I will help you, Ruyan. Zefeng smiled, and it sweetened her mood a little. She stopped thinking about Yanting for the moment. After they arrived at the company, several secretaries immediately crowded around her. President Liu, you are finally here. This is the company's profit and loss report for this period. These are the partners who want to terminate their partnership with us. Every one of these situations is urgent. And these two. This is the staff turnover report for this period. A group of senior employees are discussing resignation. Ruyan frowned deeply. She had only been away from the company for a short while. How had things ended up in this state? She took the files, and a headache started pounding as she read through them. Then she threw them hard onto the floor. What exactly are all of you even here for? I was only gone for a few days, and the company lost this much. Could you not at least keep those partners from leaving? Until I got back. Bang! The folder hit the floor with a loud crash. None of the secretaries dared to speak. After a long while, one of them finally spoke in a small voice. Secretary Gu usually handled all of this. President Liu. President Liu. Then Yanting. She instinctively started to call him over. Then suddenly remembered that Yanting had already resigned long ago. Her face darkened even more. She answered grimly, if Yanting could do those things, then why can none of you do them? No one dared say another word. For years, Yanting had been diligent and conscientious. Everyone had seen it with their own eyes. They knew they could never do it as well as he had. In the office's sudden silence, Zefeng gave a soft laugh. Do not be angry, Ruyan. It is only one secretary who left. I can do it instead. I will definitely do even better than Yanting. You should rest for a bit first. Let me help you with all this. Ruyan gave a relieved smile. Thank you for this, Zefeng. From now on, all of you will listen to Zefeng. With that, Ruyan took the urgent files away to deal with them. She left Zefeng there with the other secretaries. The moment she was gone, Zefeng's expression changed. His gaze swept over the secretaries, and he suddenly reached out and slapped each one of them. With a cold sneer, he said, you were all standing so close to President Liu just now. What exactly were you trying to do? Were you trying to seduce her? Those words terrified the secretaries. Holding their cheeks, they hurried to explain. How could that be? We were only doing our jobs. Do not make malicious false accusations like that. Zefeng would not listen to another word. He called over the bodyguards and had all the secretaries dragged away. He forbade them from appearing at the company again. After doing all that, he deliberately changed into business attire. The fitted white shirt made his broad shoulders and narrow waist stand out even more. The deliberately loosened buttons at his collar put the kiss marks from the past few days on full display. He knocked on the office door and went in after getting Ruyan's response. President Liu. He took Ruyan's hand and pressed it against himself. But there was far too much company business right now. Ruyan was in no mood for lingering passion at all. She called out softly, a slight frown on her face. Zefeng, what are you doing? I am too busy right now. Can we work first? Ignoring Ruyan's refusal, Zefeng braced both hands on either side of her chair. You can be busy later. President Liu. As he spoke, the man's large hand slid along her body, moving from her collarbone down to her lower abdomen. Her body went weak, and a rush of tingling heat climbed up from the base of her spine. Unable to resist the temptation, she grabbed Zefeng by the collar and pulled him down. A burning kiss fell between them just like that. They did not stop until noon. Only then did the two of them finally go still. Zefeng's neck was dotted with red marks. Ruyan's collar was in complete disarray too. She glanced at her watch. It was already this late. Her secretaries still had not brought lunch up. If it had been Yanting, he never would have forgotten something like this. Her expression darkened. She called the secretarial office. What is going on? How could you even forget to bring lunch? Do all of you not want your jobs anymore? President Liu. Young Master Li threw all of us out. We thought it over, and we should stop working for you here. We are not as patient as Secretary Gu, able to endure it again and again. The secretary blurted it out, their voice full of helplessness. Ruyan did not understand at first. She asked instinctively, what happened to Yanting? On the other end, the secretary let out a sigh and sent over a file package. It is all in there. President Liu. After saying that, they hung up, uneasy and suspicious. With panic rising in her chest, Ruyan opened the file. Only then did she realize it was filled with evidence of Zefeng staging the whole thing himself. From the day he came back until today, every single thing he blamed on Yanting had actually been Zefeng's doing. All of it carefully staged to frame him. The more Ruyan looked, the more horrified she became. The feeling she had kept buried deep inside could finally no longer be hidden. She had never imagined that Zefeng could do something like this. And Yanting had suffered so much humiliation all this time. In that instant, her heart seemed to stop beating. She stared at those videos for a long time. Zefeng lounged lazily in his chair when he saw Ruyan suddenly freeze for no reason. "Ruyan, what is wrong? Did you not say you were having someone bring food up? I am hungry already." Then, Ruyan slowly turned her head, but the tenderness she once had for him was gone from her eyes. "Ruyan," as if he could not quite believe what he was seeing, Zefeng called out to her again. But Ruyan's expression did not change, and sudden panic gripped him. The woman spoke coldly. "Why did you do this?" He did not understand at first. "What are you talking about, Ruyan?" But in the next second, the woman shouted like she had gone mad. "I asked why you did this. Why did you frame Yanting?" Even though her tone frightened him, the moment he heard that secretary's name, Zefeng was still baffled. He was just a secretary, was he not? What was the big deal? "Ruyan, why are you this angry? Were you not the one who said he was just a secretary?" He said it as if he were completely in the right, and all at once, Ruyan seemed to lose her fire. That was right. She had been the one who made him leave in the first place. So, why was she this angry now? Zefeng stepped closer, wanting to hold her. "Do not be angry, Ruyan. Let us go eat." But the moment Ruyan heard Zefeng's voice, the irritation in her heart only grew stronger. Her mind was filled with nothing but Yanting's face, worn raw by humiliation. And she had chosen to hurt him again and again, instead of believing him. Back then, how much pain must he have been in? The more she thought about it, the harder it became to breathe. She did not even have the patience left to fake a pleasant expression. She shoved Zefeng away. "If you want to eat, then go by yourself. I am not in the mood right now." She had not pushed him very hard. The man only staggered back a few steps, but his face was full of disbelief. The woman who had indulged his every demand these past few days had actually pushed him away for someone else. And that person was Yanting, a secretary who had already resigned. Zefeng's emotions exploded all at once. "Ruyan, what are you trying to do? You are actually doing this to me for Yanting's sake. All because of a secretary. What next? Are you going to break up with me and go chasing after that secretary?" Zefeng's words made Ruyan feel awful. She did not even know what she was doing right now. Why did she feel so uneasy? Why did it hurt so much? Yanting was gone. Should she not have been happy? They should never have begun in the first place. But now, all she could do was clench her fist and struggle to keep her emotions under control. "I am just too tired. Go eat without me." Zefeng gave a cold snort. He stopped bothering with her and turned to leave. Faced with the mess in the office, Ruyan felt a pounding headache coming on. She did not ask anyone to bring food again. Instead, she buried herself in work, trying to force herself to forget all of it. She worked from afternoon until night, before she finally dealt with everything that had happened at the company lately. The ridiculous part was that more than half of it had been caused by Zefeng. Just to clean up his mess, she had practically poured out all of this year's profits from the company. She straightened up, leaned back in her chair, and took a deep breath. It was already dark outside. She checked her phone again. There was not a single message. Her heart felt hollow. An indescribable wave of exhaustion and loneliness washed over her. Now she was the only one left in the company. She could not help speaking aloud. Yanting. Since he left, this was the first time she had said his name. Those 3 syllables seemed to carry a spell. Once they were spoken, she could not help but think of more and more things about him. No matter how late it used to get, he would always stay and work with her. He would arrange everything perfectly. They would lose themselves in passion before the office's floor-to-ceiling window. Yanting's face would flush faintly with desire. When he looked at her, his eyes were as sincere as a puppy's. He never knew that look of his only made people want to bully him more. More and more memories flooded into her mind. She could not control her emotions any longer. She picked up her phone and called her brother, Yanting. Seconds passed, and to her it felt longer than half a lifetime. At last, the call connected. She spoke at once, unable to wait. Yuan Feng, do you know where Gu Yanting went? Her brother let out a mocking laugh. Sis, you and Li Zefeng are already so lovey-dovey. So, why are you still looking for Yanting? Her throat bobbed. She gripped the phone tightly with difficulty. I know everything now. Everything that happened before. Zefeng staged the whole thing himself. I want to take Zefeng to apologize to Gu Yanting. He can come back. From now on, I will not let Zefeng make things hard for him again. She had not even finished speaking before that self-righteous apology was cut short. Liu Yuanfeng let out a cold laugh. No need. Yanting does not need your apology anymore. And do not even dream of finding him for the rest of your life. With that, Liu Yuanfeng hung up. Listening to the dead tone on the line, a surge of regret and helplessness rose up in her chest. Furious, she hurled her phone hard onto the floor. Then she heard the office door being pushed open. She shot to her feet, thinking the person she missed had come back. Yanting. She looked toward the doorway, full of hope. But the one who walked in was not the person she longed for. It was Li Zefeng. The man had clearly heard the name that slipped out of her mouth. He could not understand it. He was just a secretary. Why did he always seem to be against him? He looked at the crestfallen Liu Ruyan, unable to bear the contrast. Why was it Gu Yanting again? Ruyan, do you really like him? He demanded. Liu Ruyan did not answer. After realizing the person who had come in was not Gu Yanting, her mind was no longer here at all. But seeing her like that only made Li Zefeng even angrier. Blinded by rage, he shouted hysterically. He is just a secretary, a worthless piece of trash. From the very first day I came back, I knew he had filthy intentions toward you. Good riddance to someone like him. Ruyan, did you not say I was the only one you loved? Then, what is this supposed to mean now? Have you fallen in love with him? Faced with Li Zefeng's relentless questioning, Liu Ruyan's heart was in complete turmoil, and she stayed utterly silent. But Li Zefeng had grown used to a life where he was indulged in everything. The more he was ignored, the more he hated Gu Yanting. He violently smashed the things on her desk. I heard everything just now. You asked where Gu Yanting went. You still want to find him. You want to bring him back. You have fallen in love with him. Her patience had reached its limit. The way she looked at Li Zefeng held none of the love it once had. She truly could not understand anymore why she had ever liked a man like this. Completely unreasonable, willful, and overbearing. He had even driven Gu Yanting away. At that thought, Liu Ruyan could not hold back any longer. Her eyes red, she shot back. Yes, I did fall in love with Gu Yanting. So what? Do you even know what you have done these past days? Once she started, all that fury came pouring out and would not stop. Liu Ruyan advanced on him step by step. You drove away all of my secretaries, and you even acted on your own and deleted work emails from my phone. Because of that, several partners now want to terminate their partnerships with us. Inside the company, I gave you authority, and all you did was swagger in here putting on airs and bully the staff until they were all clamoring to resign. Do you know how much you have made my company lose these past few days? I could have let all of that go. But why did you have to drive Gu Yanting away? You framed him again and again, until he could not bear it anymore and left me. You are right. I do like Gu Yanting. I fell in love with him. You were gone for so long, and all these years it was Gu Yanting who stayed by my side. Li Zefeng, what gives you the right to talk about him? She shouted, her eyes dark with fury, and it frightened Li Zefeng. He could not help feeling afraid, but he stubbornly refused to back down. Because he is just a secretary. Who does he think he is? He had not even finished speaking before Liu Ruyan raised her hand and slapped him hard across the face. The sharp crack left Li Zefeng stunned. She had actually hit him. You hit me, Liu Ruyan. You actually hit me. You were the one who kept saying you loved me, and now you are hitting me for a secretary. But his words meant nothing now. Now that she had finally seen her own heart clearly, the way Liu Ruyan looked at him was like she was staring at someone she utterly despised. She grabbed the man's arm, and without the slightest restraint, slapped him again. The blow landed hard. Li Zefeng's head snapped to the side from the slap, and his face welled almost at once. But the fury in her eyes did not lessen, and every word she spoke was ice-cold. Gu Yanting suffered far worse humiliations than this. What is one slap from me compared to that? I want you to make amends to Yanting. The woman's gaze was cold and emotionless. If she had felt even the slightest softness toward him before, Then now, not a trace of that hesitation remained. Now she only found him disgusting. She could not believe she had done so much for him, while hurting Gu Yanning again and again. Liu Ryan's fingers clenched tight, her expression filled with chilling coldness, and it made Li Zefeng afraid. He had never seen Liu Ryan like this before. She had always treated him well, granting his every request. It was all because of that man, Gu Yanting. Li Zefeng's eyes turned venomous, as if he wanted to tear Gu Yanting apart. Of course, Liu Ryan saw it. She hated only herself for seeing his true colors only now. For no reason at all, she had made Gu Yanting suffer so many humiliations. She let out a cold laugh, so chilling it made people's hearts tremble. Now it was time to repay everything to Yanting. As she said that, she grabbed him and tried to drag him outside. The sight of her in such fury terrified Li Zefeng. He no longer cared about his dignity and struggled in panic. But no matter how hard he fought, he could not break free. He was dragged outside, to the doorway of the office. Then several bodyguards came over and pinned him down. "Since you like making people kneel, then you can stay on your knees until tomorrow." She ordered the bodyguards to keep watch on him, then ignored Li Zefeng's begging behind her, and turned to leave. Right now, her heart was full of Gu Yanning. The moment she admitted that she loved him, she realized just how terribly wrong she had been all along. After 4 years day after day together, she had long since become unable to live without him. Yet she refused to admit it, and only after losing him completely did she finally understand her own regret. Inside the car, she slammed her fist hard against the steering wheel. Then, like someone gone mad, she threw out everything in the car that Li Zefeng had left behind as decoration. She threw out every trace of him from the car. These were all things Gu Yanning disliked. She had to clear every last bit of them away. Whether it was the ornaments in the car, the seat cushions, or the snacks she had bought just for him. She threw them all out without a second thought. But no matter how she looked at it, this car no longer held any of the memories she and Gu Yanning once shared. They had been reckless together in this car so many times. Yet now she could not find a single trace of him. In that moment, Liu Ryan finally understood what it felt like to have her heart sliced open with a knife. She could not take it anymore. She smashed her own car until it was barely recognizable, venting the fury inside her. Then she drove back to the villa in another car. And even here, it was the same. Everything had been changed to Li Zefeng's taste. He had only been back for a single month, yet he had already buried the 4 years Gu Yanning had spent here. Liu Ryan's eyes reddened. She stood in the villa, but felt like she could barely breathe. Those glaring decorations felt like they were carving into her heart cut by cut. She desperately searched for something Gu Yanning had left behind. Even a scrap of his clothing would have been enough. But there was nothing. Her helplessness hit its peak. All she could do was vent her anguish by taking the things inside, and smashed everything to pieces. She did not dare rest. The moment she closed her eyes, Gu Yanning would flood back into her mind. That day, she had clearly seen him packing his things. Yet she did not stop him. She had watched helplessly as he took everything with him, leaving nothing behind. She let out a cry of agony, wishing with all her heart that she could go back and ask herself, "You were clearly reluctant to let him go too. So, why did you do nothing?" She sat in the villa all night, empty and numb, clinging to the last bit of warmth Gu Yanning had left behind. By dawn, her assistant arrived. "President Liu, it's time to go to the office. Young Master Li is still waiting for you." He gave the reminder as tactfully as he could. Liu Ryan lifted her reddened eyes, her heart filled with hatred. If it were not for Li Zefeng, how could Gu Yanning ever have left her? This was all Li Zefeng's fault. "Drive to the office," she said, her voice so hoarse it was barely recognizable. When Liu Ryan arrived at the company, it was right in the middle of the morning rush. Employees were coming and going, and everyone's eyes kept drifting toward one corner of the building. There stood Li Zefeng, disheveled and filthy, forced to kneel on the ground while bodyguards held him down. He looked utterly wretched. He had been kneeling there the entire night, his body on the verge of collapse, close to fainting, and the stares from everyone around him made the humiliation even worse. Once so gloriously favored, he was now full of hatred for Gu Yanning. He shouted hysterically, "Gu Yanning, you bastard! This is all your fault. If it were not for you, Liu Ryan would never be treating me like this. Why don't you just die? It would be better if you were dead. How dare you try to seduce Liu Ryan? You're a shameless piece of trash." His ranting disgusted the people around him. Some co-workers who had been close with Gu Yanning stepped up to defend him. "Li Zefeng, you have gone too far. Secretary Gu spent for years at this company. Always diligent and conscientious. And he never did anything wrong. The moment you showed up, you started targeting him at every turn. Exactly. Yanting has always been decent and well-behaved. Yet you were always making trouble for him. Now you want to pin all the blame on him too? That is outrageous. Hearing those accusations, Zefeng flew into even more embarrassed rage. He launched into a tirade at the crowd. You bunch of idiots. You must have taken favors from him to be defending him like this. Just then, Ruyan strode over quickly. The crowd automatically parted to make way for her. Ruyan looked at Zefeng, her gaze icy cold, filled with disappointment and disgust. The moment Zefeng saw Ruyan, it was as if he had grabbed onto his last lifeline. He hurriedly crawled to her feet and clutched her leg as he cried out, "Ruyan, you have to stand up for me. They're all bullying me." Yanting stirred all of this up. Ruyan kicked him away with one swift motion and said coldly, "Zefeng, do you still show no remorse? Everything you did, I already know about. You made malicious false accusations against Yanting again and again, and you even caused massive losses to the company. Did you really think I would keep indulging you?" Zefeng was kicked to the ground, his eyes full of disbelief. "Ruyan, how can you treat me like this? The person you love is me." Ruyan looked down at him coldly and said without hesitation, "The person I love is Yanting. From beginning to end, he is the only one I have ever loved. I was foolish before and let myself be deceived by you. Now I have finally seen my feelings clearly. Leave. It is over between us." The man's pupils widened, filled with disbelief. Now that he had truly heard that answer, he suddenly laughed. "You want me to leave? Ruyan, let me tell you this. I am not the one who drove Yanting away. You are. Did you really think I did not know what you two were doing? You were with him for years, yet you never made it public. The moment I came back, you came running straight to me. The one who really forced him to leave was you." Her relationship with Yanting had never been exposed at the company before. The moment those words left his mouth, everyone was stunned. The expression Ruyan had just managed to steady darkened again. Abandoned and desperate, Zefeng no longer cared about any of that. He had nothing left to lose, so he blurted out everything he knew. With a mocking smile, he said, "Yanting is an idiot. For whole years, he willingly stayed your secret lover. Ruyan, you were the one who did not believe him. You saw him being tormented, and you still chose me. You think I forced Yanting away, but it was you." With every word he said, Ruyan's face darkened a little more. Her fist clenched tighter. "It seems you still have not realized what you did wrong." As she spoke, she ordered the bodyguards to pin Zefeng down again and drag him away. Once they returned to the villa, Ruyan had the bodyguards lock him in the basement. She forced him to reenact the things he had once used to frame Yanting. All over again. Only this time, he was the one suffering. He was forced to carry scalding bowls until his hands were red and blistered, or he was made to kneel as punishment for an entire day. Even if he fainted, once he woke up he had to keep kneeling. During all of that, Ruyan did not go see him even once. She had something more important to do. Ever since she understood her true feelings, she had sworn she would win Yanting back. She knew her only hope of finding Yanting was her younger brother, Yanting. Even though things had turned ugly between them before because of Zefeng, and she had fallen out badly with her brother, she could not worry about that now. Ruyan went to Yanting's place and knocked on the door. Yanting opened it. When he saw it was his sister, the smile on his face froze, then twisted into disgust. "What are you doing here?" Yanting asked irritably. Ruyan knew she was in the wrong. Her hands were full of gifts as she forced a smile. "Yanting, I know I was wrong before. I want to ask you for a favor. Do you know where Yanting is? I want to find him and apologize to him." Yanting let out a cold laugh. "So now you know to look for him. How did you treat him before?" "For Zefeng, you hurt Yanting again and again, and now you still think you can make it right. It is too late. Yanting, I know I was wrong. I want to make it right. Please tell me where Yanting went, okay? I will not let Zefeng hurt him again. From now on, I will be with him properly. Aren't you his good friend? Once Yanting and I are together, you will be able to see him every day too." Yanting quickly cut her off. "Even without you? Yanting and I would still be close brothers. As long as he is doing well, I do not care where he is. Sis, you hurt him so many times, and you still think you can win him back. You were the one who told me before that Zefeng was my future brother-in-law. Her words caught in her throat. She said nothing, but Liu Yuanfeng had always been blunt by nature. The moment he thought about all the hurt Gu Yanning had suffered, his anger flared. Seeing Liu Ruyan stay silent, he turned even more cutting. For Zefeng, you did not just slap me, you slapped Yanting too. Sis, now you say you were wrong, but do you not think it is too late? Let me tell you this. Yanting is doing very well abroad now. At those words, Liu Ruyan swayed slightly. She drew a deep breath and lowered her head before her brother. Little brother, I know I was wrong. I have already punished Zefeng. If you do not believe me, I can take you to see for yourself. Tell Yanting that I know I was wrong now. Yanting loved me so much. He loved me for 8 years. A full 8 years. He will definitely forgive me. Help me this one time. I am begging you. The more she spoke, the faster her words came, as if something were chasing her. Her eyes reddened too. But to Liu Yuanfeng, those words sounded utterly ridiculous. For the first time, he found his own sister this laughable. So, you do know he loved you for 8 years. Then how did you treat him? You treated him like a bed partner, like a tool, like something summoned when wanted and dismissed when not. You are the one who wore away all of his love. Now that Yanting is gone, you finally know you were wrong. Sis, he is a person too. He feels pain too. Hearing her own brother's words, the regret in Liu Ruyan's heart only deepened. Her voice was hoarse, and her eyes were red. When she dropped to her knees, Yuanfeng, at least let me see Yanting once. Just once. If he really will not forgive me, then I will never disturb him again. From childhood until now, Liu Ruyan had never begged anyone. This was the first time she had actually knelt in front of someone else. And it was her own younger brother. All for Gu Yanting, a man who had already left her. Liu Yuanfeng had never expected his proud sister to go this far. But betraying his good friend for his sister's sake was something he could not do either. Liu Yuanfeng gritted his teeth in frustration. I can ask him for you. If Yanting is willing to see you, then I will tell you where he is now. The woman who had already thought all hope was lost instantly lit up. She nodded eagerly at once. Liu Yuanfeng sent Gu Yanting a message, but there was a time difference of several hours between China and overseas. Liu Yuanfeng urged her to go back first. If there was any news, he would let her know. But Liu Ruyan refused to leave no matter what. She stubbornly stayed at her brother's place. She slept on the sofa. At the slightest sound, she would wake up. Each time, she hoped it was news from Gu Yanting. It was not until the next evening that Liu Yuanfeng finally got a reply. All right, I will meet with her once. Just a few short words. But they gave Liu Ruyan hope. Gu Yanting was still willing to see her. That meant there might still be a chance between them. Filled with excitement, Liu Ruyan could not wait and bought the next available flight. Liu Yuanfeng grabbed her arm, frowning in disapproval. Sis, rest for a day before you go. You have not rested for days, have you? Since Yanting said he would see you, he definitely will not back out. Liu Ruyan pulled free of his hand. I cannot wait any longer. Ever since Yanting left me, I have been thinking of him day and night. Right now, I just want to see him. Her eyes had turned gentle, which left Liu Yuanfeng utterly baffled. Watching his sister hurry away, he could not help letting out a soft sigh. If you knew it would come to this, why act that way in the first place? Sis. But Liu Ruyan did not hear him. Her mind was full of Gu Yanting. The thought of seeing him soon sent a rush of excitement through her. Even after boarding the plane, she still could not rest easy. Had he been doing well abroad all this time? Had he lost weight? Did he have enough money to live on? In a foreign land, he had to be uncomfortable. Whenever she thought of him, her heart softened with it. Her mind was filled with images of Gu Yanting. At first, there had been his youthful awkwardness, and the crush he thought he had hidden perfectly. But in her eyes, it had always been obvious. But she had always been thinking of Zefeng, and so she ignored him. Even after that absurd accidental night, she still had never truly considered him. Who would have thought that the man who had always been so careful would suddenly confess to her? She rejected him, but she did not reject that young, vibrant body. They were tangled and lingering, passionate embraces everywhere. Gu Yanting knew his place. He would not, like other men, do something over money, or for the sake of proper status. That was good. It suited her perfectly. That was also why she had always allowed things to continue between them. If Zefeng had not suddenly come back, she had even once thought that keeping this kind of relationship with Gu Yanting forever would be just fine. When exactly had she fallen in love with him? Was it when she saw how diligent he was? When she noticed his thoughtfulness? Or when she felt his love for her? Liu Ruyan could not say. Those 4 years had passed far too quickly. Before she even realized it, she had already been captured by Yanting. But she understood it too late, and that was why she let him slip away. But not anymore. She had already made up her mind. As long as Yanting could forgive her, she was willing to do anything. She would not keep doing what she had done before, making him nothing more than a bed partner. Instead, she would openly and proudly announce their relationship. She would marry him. She would love him for the rest of her life. She would spend her whole life making up for all the hurt he had suffered. At the thought of Yanting returning to her side, Liu Ruyan could not help smiling. A feeling of happiness spread through her chest. It made her ache with anticipation for the moment she would see him. After an 8-hour flight, she finally landed. Liu Ruyan rushed impatiently toward the address they had agreed on, to see the man she loved. The place they had arranged to meet was a coffee shop. When Liu Ruyan pushed open the door, the bell above it chimed. She walked inside, and immediately saw Yanting sitting in the corner. They had only been apart for a month, but it had felt as agonizing as a year. So now that she was finally seeing him, Liu Ruyan felt almost dazed. He had changed a lot when he had been by her side, because he was her secretary. He had almost always worn work clothes, even after work, when they were home together and played their private games. Yanting had always given her the feeling of being serious and proper. But now, he was dressed in casual clothes, with soft strands of hair falling across his brow. For a moment, she felt as if she had gone back in time, back to when it had all begun. To the Yanting who had shyly carried a crush on her, she paused for a few seconds, before walking over and greeting him with a smile. Yanting, it has been a long time. She held back the urge to pull him into her arms at once, and just held herself still. Her gaze clung to his face, hungry and entranced. Let us keep this short. I only agreed to see you because I wanted to make things clear between us. Yanting was in no mood to reminisce. He took a sip of coffee, and had just started to continue, when Liu Ruyan hurriedly cut in. I know what you mean. Everything before was my fault. I did not understand my true feelings, and that is how I let Zefeng hurt you. Yanting, I have only just realized it now. I love you. The only person I truly love is you. She blurted it all out in one breath. Her eyes shone brightly as she waited for Yanting's response. In her imagination, Yanting loved her so deeply that he would definitely forgive her and go back to China with her. But from beginning to end, the man's expression never changed. His lips curled slightly without the slightest ripple of emotion. Liu Ruyan, it is too late. Your apology and your love are both too late. If you are done talking, then I am leaving. I do not think there is anything left for us to discuss. Liu Ruyan's face changed at once. She instinctively grabbed his hand. Panic flashed across her face. It is not too late. Yanting, we still have a future. I have already punished Zefeng. As long as you come back, I can give you anything. It has already been for years. Just because of this 1 month. Do you really not love me anymore? I know you are only still angry inside. If you want to hit me or curse me, that is fine. Yanting, I am begging you. Please come back, all right? Yanting shook off her hand. He answered in a calm voice. That is right. It was this 1 month that made me see you clearly. I do not love you anymore, Liu Ruyan, and I will not go back either. May you and Zefeng grow old together in happiness. With that, he stood up to leave. Liu Ruyan had never expected this kind of reaction from him. In her heart, Yanting had always loved her to the bone. How could he suddenly stop loving her? A panic she had never felt before washed over her. When she first learned that Yanting had left, she had comforted herself with the thought that he still loved her. But now that she was really seeing him, he was actually saying he did not love her anymore. At that moment, Liu Ruyan felt as if her heart were being sliced by a knife. She clung tightly to Yanting's hand, unwilling to let go. Her always proud body trembled. She lowered her pride, and even her voice carried a pitiful sob. Yanting, do not treat me like this. I really do know I was wrong. As long as you are willing to forgive me, we will go back and get married right away. I will not leave you without any proper status ever again at the company. If you want to keep being my secretary, then keep doing it. If you do not want to, then stay home. I will earn money for you. From now on, what is mine will be yours. No matter who shows up again, I will not hurt you again. Yanting, Please, forgive me this once. We were together for so long. You cannot throw me away. Just because I did one thing wrong. Yanting. If this had been before, Yanting would have been overjoyed to hear words like that. This was the woman he had loved for a full 8 years. They would finally have had a real future together. But now, because of Zefeng, his heart was already dead. Those 8 years of feeling no longer existed. That past only made him hate himself for being too blind to see the truth. He had wasted so much time on Ruyan. He drew a deep breath and firmly pried Ruyan's hand off him. Ruyan, I have made myself very clear. We do not have a future anymore. Is this not exactly what you wanted from the start? Back then, I told you that as long as the person you loved came back, I would make my exit on my own. When Zefeng came back, I did hope for a moment that maybe you had developed feelings for me too, that you would let go of Zefeng for my sake. But the truth proved that I was wrong. Looking at his expression, Ruyan felt as if she were about to lose him for good. She kept shaking her head, and for the first time in her life, she cried in front of someone else. She reached for him, almost begging. Yanting, I really was wrong. Give me one chance to make it up to you. Yanting. But Yanting did not look back. He simply walked away and disappeared from her sight. She stayed seated in that coffee shop in a daze, not leaving until the shop closed. She did not know what to do. Her heart was full of pain. The more it hurt, the more clearly she understood how important Yanting was to her. And just like that, she had lost him. If Zefeng had never come back, if she had realized just a little sooner that she had fallen in love with Yanting, if she had not disappointed Yanting, countless possibilities flashed through her mind. But there was no road back for her now. She wandered the streets of a foreign city in a daze. Thunder cracked across the sky, and then the rain came pouring down. Everyone on the street ran for home to get out of the rain. But Ruyan had no idea where she should go. She walked through the rain, murmuring Yanting's name over and over. She was soaked through from head to toe. Suddenly, her phone rang. She picked it up with hope in her eyes. It was a message from Yanting. Sis, come back. She stared at those words and suddenly felt utterly powerless. How had things between her and Yanting ended up like this? She dropped to her knees in the pounding rain, sobbing and crying out. The sound of the rain swallowed every other sound, including her anguish. She staggered her way to an apartment building. The front door was shut tight. She did not dare knock. She simply curled up by the door. This was where Yanting lived. Only here did she feel that somewhere in her heart, there was the faintest trace of comfort. She had not slept for days. Now, drenched by the rain, lying at his doorway, she actually drifted into a hazy sleep. In her dream, Yanting forgave her. He returned to China with her. They were just like before, except this time, the woman in the dream did not fail Yanting again. She announced their relationship at once, and even proposed to him. With tears in his eyes, Yanting pulled her into his arms. He said he had finally waited for this day. Ruyan smiled faintly, as if she had finally caught hold of her happiness. Then, she fainted there in the storm. When she opened her eyes again, her head was throbbing. Her body was hard to move. She forced her eyes open and saw an unfamiliar ceiling. She tried to get out of bed, but the next second, a warm voice spoke. Do not move. It was Yanting. The moment she heard his voice, Ruyan forgot everything else. She bolted upright and pulled the person by her bedside tightly into her arms. She held him as if what she had lost had finally returned to her. Yanting, have you forgiven me? I know I was wrong. I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Yanting, believe me, I really was wrong. I cannot live without you. As she spoke, she cried. Regret surged through her like a storm, filling her heart with bitter ache. She clung to the man in her arms and would not let go. Ruyan, stop. I only did this for Yanting. If you died outside my door, Yanting would be heartbroken. He frowned and pulled himself free of her embrace. Only then did Ruyan finally look closely at his face. In his eyes, there was not a trace of feeling, only disgust. That expression stabbed straight through her heart. Her face went pale. Her hands were still frozen in midair. She did not know what to do. All she could do was stare blankly at Yanting. It was as if she were looking at the man she loved most but could never have. Sorrow flooded her whole body. In a hoarse voice, she called his name. Yanting. Yanting did not answer. His eyes were cold. I have already called Yanting. He will come pick you up. Ruyan. Do not come looking for me again. Without you, I am living very well here. Yanting, let the past stay in the past. The moment you chose Zefeng, we were over. Yanting. Her voice grew more pain with every word. She stared deeply at the man before her. He was clearly so close, yet he felt unbearably far away. So far that she could never reach him again. Do we really have no chance left? She looked at him with her last shred of hope. At last, Yanting looked directly at her. He answered one word at a time. Yes, we will never have another chance. It was as if 1,000 arrows had pierced her heart. Ryan's heart hurt so badly she felt she might die. She wanted to reach out and touch his face one more time. But even that small wish was mercilessly denied when Yanting moved away. Ryan's eyes turned red. Tears fell at last. All right, she said, unable to hold back the agony in her heart. Not long after that, Yanting arrived. The moment he got Yanting's call, he rushed over at once. Yanting. Yanting's expression softened. Yanting, you are here. The two of them sat together and exchanged a few words. When it was time to part, Yanting could not hold back his guilt. I am sorry, Yanting. I should not have given in and let my sister come find you. She caused you so much trouble. Yanting patted him on the shoulder. It is all right. Even if you had not told her, Ryan would have found a way on her own. Better a clean break than dragging out the pain. It is better that everything was made clear this time. Even so, Yanting still felt awful about it. Even he had not expected his sister to go that far. She stood in the rain all night like she did not care whether she lived or died. He turned to look at the figure in the distance, still lingering. Then at the man here, holding himself back. In the end, he could not stop himself from asking what he had long wanted to know. Yanting, if Zefeng had never appeared, would you have been with my sister? Ryan wanted that answer too. If there had been no Zefeng, would Yanting have ended up with her? The man in question gave a faint smile. That question was one he had once asked himself too. But after living through that month, he understood it clearly now. Even without Zefeng, someone else would have appeared sooner or later. Ryan's love for him was nothing more than regret that came only after she lost him. He smiled with quiet acceptance. No one asked him why. Perhaps they already knew the answer. Yanting brought an utterly devastated Ryan back to China. The Liu family's businesses had suffered heavy losses during that time. Ryan had no heart left to manage them. So she had no choice but to hand everything over to Yanting for the time being. Poor guy, he had only just come back to China and already had to clean up his sister's mess. Fortunately, when he studied abroad, he had majored in economics and management, so he was not completely clueless. But before he formally took over the company, Yanting kindly handed his sister some photos. While you were abroad, I dug up a few things too. Take a look. Ryan opened them and found that they were all about Zefeng. Yanting had found out that during his years abroad he had not studied seriously at all. Instead, he had chased women and gotten involved with several wealthy foreign women. Several women had even had abortions for him. He was long gone from the person Ryan remembered. Come to think of it, what had he been like back then? Ryan froze for a moment. She realized she could no longer remember what he had looked like at the beginning. After 10 years apart, then meeting again. Those tender, youthful feelings of first love had long since been worn away completely. Now, the moment she closed her eyes, the only face that appeared in her mind was Yanting's. Smiling or sorrowful, he was vividly alive, tugging at her heart. But when the next 10 years had passed, could she really forget Yanting the way she had forgotten Zefeng? A trace of hesitation and sorrow rose in her heart. But the real culprit behind how things had turned out was herself. She had clearly known long ago what Zefeng had done. Yet, because of those blurred feelings, because of all those words about love, for the sake of a man like that, she had actually pushed Yanting away from her side. When she looked at those photos again, her heart did not stir in the slightest. It was as if her heart had died with everything else. Thank you, Yanting. I will not let you worry for too much longer. She thanked him in a hoarse voice. Then she suddenly remembered something and gave her younger brother a faint smile. I almost forgot. I still owe you something. As she spoke, she raised her hand and slapped herself hard across the face. The crack rang out sharply. Her face welled at once. Yanting was so startled he jumped. Sis, what are you doing? Ryan swallowed the metallic taste rising in her throat. I hit you before. I am sorry. Now I have paid you back. Liu Yuanfeng's brows knit again. He did not know what to say. More than once, he started to reach out only to lower his hand again. In the end, he let out a heavy breath. Forget it. Just do not act foolishly again from now on. Maybe there will be another Yanting someday. When that time comes, do not let him slip away too. Liu Yuanfeng waved with a smile. Liu Ruyan said nothing. She watched her younger brother leave. She did not want to dampen his spirits, because everyone knew there would never be another Gu Yanting. That bitter ache surged up inside her, and she silently forced it back down. Liu Ruyan picked up the photos in her hand and walked toward the basement. During this time, Zefeng had been tormented badly. He was never fed enough and never slept well. Everything he had once done to Gu Yanting had come back to him 100-fold, landing on him instead. He shivered in the basement. When he saw the door open and light spill in, he still did not understand what was happening. Only when Liu Ruyan walked in did he finally snap awake like a man from a dream. As if he had seen his last lifeline, he crawled over and grabbed hold of her. Ruyan, I was wrong. Please forgive me. I will never disturb you and Gu Yanting again. I will go far away from now on. I will never get in your way again. Please let me go. I truly know I was wrong. The man begged for mercy as he sobbed so hard he could barely speak. He looked utterly miserable. Liu Ruyan said nothing. She carefully studied that face. Its innocence and beauty were gone. All that remained was endless desire and greed. Why had she lost the most important person in her life because of him? Lost the most important person in her life. The moment she thought of that, anger surged through Liu Ruyan. She wanted to tear Zefeng apart. But Yuanfeng and Yanting were right. At the root of it all, she had only been blinded for a while. What Zefeng had done was nothing more than borrowing her power. She forced herself to calm down and threw the photos down. The moment Zefeng saw what was in them, his pupils shrank in shock. Those were the buried parts of his past he had wanted hidden most of all. It was because he could no longer survive abroad that he had come back to China. But he had never imagined it would all be dug up anyway. He panicked, his face full of helpless confusion. No, 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 no. That is not me. Ruyan, believe me. That is not me in those. They have to be photoshopped. Someone is trying to frame me. It is Gu Yanting. It is him. Is it not? He does not want you to let me go. So he dug all this up to make you angry. He clutched his head and went on rambling like a madman. He looked completely unhinged. That is not what I was like overseas at all. I went to a double first-class university. I had a good job. I even had a girlfriend who loved me. None of this ever happened. It is all fake. This is not the life I was supposed to have. As he kept talking, he broke down and started sobbing. When he first went abroad, he really had lived a carefree, indulgent life. Because he was handsome. He had several women flirting with him, all willing to spend money on him. All of them were willing to spend money on him. Even when he messed up, someone would always clean up his mess. But over time, he did not even know when it started. The people around him began drifting away one by one. He never got his diploma. All he could do was buy a diploma from a third-rate school. And when he tried to find work, he hit a wall everywhere. He could not even support himself. Left with no choice. He had no choice but to sell his looks. But very soon, his reputation spread overseas. He lost his foothold. So he had no choice but to return to China. At first, he had been glad that back home, there was still a Liu Ruyan, foolishly waiting for him. But now, he finally understood that his life had not changed at all. Everything came with a price. He dropped to his knees and cried in despair. He apologized and kowtowed again and again. Liu Ruyan showed almost no expression the whole time. She only looked at him. Only when Zefeng had no strength left did she finally speak. Get out. That unexpected answer made the man stare at her in shock. He muttered in disbelief. What? Ruyan, what did you say? Liu Ruyan, as if indulging the question, repeated herself. Get out. Zefeng. From this day on, we have no anymore. I really did love you once, but too much time has passed, and now my heart belongs to someone else. Hearing that, he did not know whether to laugh or cry. Or rather, he did not even know where he could go anymore. Liu Ruyan turned and left. She never looked after Zefeng again. The door stayed open just like that. No bodyguards came anymore to force him or torment him. But suddenly, that unknown future ahead of him felt even more terrifying than the present. After a long time, Zefeng slowly got to his feet, staggering He walked out. He left the Liu family home. No one knew where he went, and no one cared what he chose to do. After she had rested, Liu Ruyan took the company back into her own hands. Liu Yuanfeng let out a sigh of relief. Ever since he was young, his dream had never been to run the family business. He had dreams and plans of his own. A year later, Liu Yuanfeng received a text from Yanting. His best friend was getting married and had invited him to be a groomsman. Liu Yuanfeng was so happy he could barely contain himself. He dropped everything he was doing and immediately bought a ticket to fly over. Naturally, Liu Ruyan also heard the news from her younger brother. Her hand paused for a moment, then she lowered her eyes and asked casually, "He is getting married that soon?" Over the past year, she had often heard from her brother how Yanting was doing. She also knew he had a girlfriend who loved him deeply, but now he was actually about to get married. She could not even put the feeling in her heart into words. Liu Ruyan only felt her vision blur. She could no longer make out the words beneath her pen. Then she heard a warm, gentle voice through Liu Yuanfeng's phone. Answer. "Yes, it is about time I got married. I finally met the right person, and I do not want to wait any longer." It was Yanting. His voice was calm, but there was a smile in it. Anyone could tell at once that he was living happily. While talking to him on the phone, Liu Yuanfeng packed his things. "True enough. But from now on, are you really planning to stay abroad and never come back? You are really making me run back and forth for you. You heartless jerk. You never even came to see me." He joked as he scolded him, and soon had his suitcase packed. He turned and waved at Liu Ruyan. "I am off, sis." Liu Ruyan said nothing. Only after Liu Yuanfeng had gone far away, until his back was no longer visible, and she could no longer hear that voice from the phone, did she slowly set down the pen she had been using to review documents. She pressed a hand to her forehead. Tears fell. Her heart hurt so badly she could barely breathe. So this was what it felt like to watch the man she loved marry someone else. She had truly lost Yanting. She trembled, unable to stop her anguished tears. At last, she broke into muffled, painful sobs. Another year passed. Liu Yuanfeng got married too. Yanting returned to China, and, just as promised, became his groomsman. She had not seen him for a very long time. Liu Ruyan tried to keep her emotions under control, but her gaze kept drifting back on Yanting. It was as if she were afraid of waking from a dream. After the wedding ceremony ended, Liu Ruyan went with her brother to make the toast rounds. When they reached Yanting's table, "Yanting, it has been a long time," Liu Yuanfeng said with a smile. Liu Ruyan nodded calmly. "Long time no see, Yanting." She lifted her glass, and her glass lightly clinked against his. That crisp sound echoed through her stirred heart. She wanted to say so many things, like, "You have changed so much. How have you been? Are you happy? You." All of those surging impulses stopped the moment a woman walked up. It was his wife. The woman slipped her arm through Yanting's, then handed him a glass of wine. "Sorry about this. I am pregnant, so I cannot drink. Yanting will drink on my behalf." Yanting smiled without realizing it. Liu Yuanfeng, on the other hand, was stunned. "You are expecting a baby already? Yanting, why did you not tell me? Do you not even treat me like a brother?" He quickly explained, looking a little embarrassed. "It has only been a month, so I wanted to wait a little longer and tell you once things were stable. It is still too early right now." Liu Yuanfeng was not having that. He immediately claimed the godfather spot for himself. His wife had nothing but tenderness in her eyes, and Yanting wore a helpless, happy smile. The four of them stood there together, and only Liu Ruyan seemed like an outsider. So the best ending was to end up like strangers. She stared blankly at Yanting's happy face. When she saw him and his wife leaning close together in intimacy, a dull ache spread through her heart. She raised her own glass and murmured to him, "Congratulations. You finally found your happiness." After that, she drained it in one swallow. For the first time, she realized just how strong and bitter the wine really was. She left in silence and did not disturb them again. A gust of wind passed by. Yanting looked up, and only then noticed that spot was already empty. He paused for a moment, then shook his head. By now, the people most important to him were already right by his side.